Hey, you guys. We're going to be talking today about whether you should be taking more risks in your career or taking that big risk that maybe you've been thinking about, or if you should value the stability that you have or value, building stability, because this is a huge dilemma I see going on in many professionals' lives, especially successful professionals who have already reached a certain stage of their career and they've built a certain level of stability. And there's that big dilemma of, should I leave everything? Should I take the leap? Should I not? And we're going to get to that in a second. But the reason that I wanted to talk about this was because the other day I posted on my Facebook wall, I posted, what is the worst career advice you guys have gotten? And we heard all kinds of really bad career advice, like obviously bad career advice. For example, a lot of the women posted that they've been told to just marry rich or find a man with a good career, and then you don't have to worry about your career. Or what was the other bad advice that we had? Maybe you guys can share below some of the bad advice you've heard if you have not yet participated in that thread. But there was a lot of just really bad, obviously bad career advice. Like, oh, you should come home, give up your international career, even though you love it, just come home and be safe, this kind of stuff. So some career advice is obviously bad, or it might be right for another person, but when someone gives it to you, you know it's not the right fit, and so you can just kind of gracefully say, thank you for that, thank you for the advice, but no thanks, right? However, there's also the kind of career advice that can be difficult to know if it's the right advice or it's not. And some of the time, it's not even coming from another person. It's actually you wondering what it is that you should do. And a lot of times there might be a part of you that goes, wow, I've built up this income. I really want to maintain that income. And there's good things about having that income. And there's good things about this job or about this stability that you may have. But there's also something else I feel called to do. Some of you guys don't even know what that is, but you definitely feel called to just do something different. But then there's, yeah, but I've built this. Like, why would I give that up? Should I really lose it? And it might be other people telling you, hey, you're lucky to be where you are. You should appreciate that and you should maintain it or build on what you already have. Or it might be your own voice saying, hey, this is a great thing you have going here. Just stay, just stay. And then another part of you going, okay, I need to just take the plunge. I need to just quit it all and move on. And I know someone on the comment thread, if you guys haven't seen that post, you can just scroll down on my Facebook wall where I asked you, what is the worst career advice you've ever received? Scroll down and you'll see all of the great or not so great feedback you guys have given. So anyway, what are you to do? Let me know below. Is this a dilemma that you're facing? Is it something that you think about, maintaining stability versus taking that risk, taking that plunge and doing something different? Let me know below what is your A and your B choice that you feel you're constantly grappling with. I want to know. All right. So the thing here is that a lot of times, and I saw this in one of the comments that we received on the post, a lot of times we see things as to take the risk or stay safe. And we have this dichotomy going on where it's stay safe or take a risk. And it's one or the other. Live dangerously or live safely. And I had someone comment that he's taken a number of risks in his career, and people used to tell him, take risks in your career. But every single time, those risks have failed, and it turned out to be a poor choice, and he lost his stability. And then, of course, we had someone else comment that the worst advice was actually to stay safe and not take risks. So, this is where this blanket advice, always take risks, you'll regret it if not, or choose stability, be responsible, climb that ladder. None of these things are good advice. It really depends on the person, and people's careers are like rainbows. I mean, you get so many different situations. You can't give this blanket advice or take this blanket advice that some people are just handing out the same advice to everyone. Or if you read these articles by certain people who are successful, or you talk to someone who's successful and they say, hey, well, for me, it worked out this way. it doesn't mean that doing the same thing they did is going to work in this day and age or for your specific job. And because careers are these rainbows, that is why people hire me. Like, that's why I have this business, because they know that they need tailor fit advice to really suit their situation, so that they don't get stuck in this blanket advice or stuck in this dichotomy of lose it all, take that risk, take that plunge, or live a boring life of stability kind of thing. So the answer to this whole thing is that you really, really need to make sure you're not seeing things as black and white. And people around you are going to convince you or try to convince you that things are very much black and white. You're either being very irresponsible, risking it all to go off on a whim, or you're being safe, secure, responsible, and boring and not following your dream. And for the professionals who I work with, they are pretty much always very successful people, but also people with a huge amount of ambition, where just being stable and just kind of contenting themselves with a financially stable or, a secure job is not good enough, because they have other things that they want to achieve and they know they're meant for something greater. However, that doesn't mean that they're the kind of people who are just crazy adventurers who are ready to throw it all away and go live in a hut and potentially risk never earning a really good salary again. Like, these are real people with families to support and mortgages and trips that they want to do and all kinds of things that they want to do, where they don't want to just throw it all out. So really the answer usually is in creating a tailor-fit solution. So as opposed to this, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow and, burn all those bridges, figure things out that way. And again, there are times when there are bridges to be burned and you're so done with something that the right fit for you is just to quit it all and do it like that, And again, that works for some people. But for the majority of the people, the best strategy, the strategy I would usually recommend, and again, I don't want to give blanket advice to you guys because you're all different people, but let me know, just send me a message if you have something specific you want to discuss about your situation. But for the majority of people whose situations I've seen, the people I've worked with, you want to have a very precise strategy that is crafted for your particular situation. And when you do that right, so when you get your eggs into the right baskets and you're following a personalized approach that takes into account all of your experience up to date, the amount of money that you want to be earning. Everyone has different financial obligations and financial dreams and things they want to achieve. So getting that financial aspect in order so that you know how much money you want or need to be earning, and you just take all of those puzzle pieces into account, and then balancing that out, of course, with your dream and the mission and all of the other unaccomplished things in your life that you want to be able to accomplish before you hit that deathbed. Taking all of that into account, then you can create that strategy, and you can create a strategy where actually, most of the time, you can increase your level of stability and income while launching that dream or that big thing that in your mind or that people were setting up in your mind as a risky business, a risky thing. Take, for example, Jaron. So Jaron worked with me a couple of months ago. He was working in construction, very stable job, great salary, but he had his family to support. And he knew in his heart that the job was not the dream job. And, the years were going by and he kept going, yeah, I'll switch eventually to something more fulfilling, but it wasn't happening for him. And he had tried different things. I mean, he was sending out the applications, he was trying to network and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, the years were going by and he was still in construction. And so he could see his daughters growing up. He could see the time passing. He could see that he wasn't getting to his dream at that rate. And so we started working together. And for him, even though he knew, he was completely 100% committed to that dream and making that mission happen. And that's a huge prerequisite for me before I work with anyone, is they need to have that 100% commitment to that dream. But that doesn't mean they need to be a risky individual who wants to throw out all of is ready to jump off the cliff and absolutely risk everything. I mean, this is a dad. He had to support his family. He's not a risky guy, let's just say. So what we did together, because he did have that total commitment to achieving his dream and his legacy, okay, we looked at his situation and we looked at how he could accomplish that career change before quitting his job so that he can maintain that stability. And then once he has that next project, that next opportunity, then he can quit and everything can be in order and everything can be great. So I just want to give that example for you guys to think a little bit outside of the box. Be really, really careful about these dichotomies that we create in our own minds, but also that other people will try to put on us, where they're either telling you, oh, you're this big risky person and you're just being crazy, or you need to be this very safe, very boring person who's not achieving your dream. Because it's not one or the other. And yes, there's a time to burn those bridges, but most of the time you can be very successful, very responsible, take a professional approach to your career change, just like you take that professional approach in your job and you do things with a plan and you do things with deadlines and with strategies and you have an action plan. When you do the same thing for your career change, you're going to find that you actually achieve your goals without taking these big risks. So it's just like I'm telling my clients, always act like the CEO of your own company. So you are the one out there running your life, running. Don't make your company die. Don't make your career die by just trying to stay the same, because you'll probably be fired because you're not growing with the times and you're going to get outdated really, really quickly. You've got to keep growing, and that of course entails a certain amount of risk, but very healthy risk, calculated risk that you can do intelligently with those action plans, with those strategies, with expertise on your side. And then you guys should not have to be living in this dichotomy of all or nothing, money or freedom, or money or mission, or fulfillment or fulfillment or stability. You guys should not have to make those choices. You're allowed to have both. I don't know why we've been set up to believe that we're not allowed to have it all in life, that you can have one thing, but you cannot have the other. Like, you can be rich, but then you're probably a bad person, or, you can have a family, but then you probably have no career, or all of these myths that just get fed to us. And even though for the most part we managed to shed them aside, in moments of truth like this, in these moments where it's time to make a big decision about our lives, about our career, these old myths tend to come back, and it's like all of a sudden we believe them again, and it sabotages us. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, just to follow up on the discussion we were having. If you guys are feeling like you're thinking about, should I do this or should I do that? I'm not sure. What is the right step for me? Then definitely send me a message. Don't stay in that doubt. We've talked about this before, but just that doubt of, should I do this or should I do that? Or if I do this, then how do I do that? And is that even realistic? And all of those kinds of doubts really, really keep you stuck and are a huge, huge impediment to your confidence and a huge waste of time. So if you guys are struggling with this, send me a message. Usually in one conversation, we can figure out where do you want to go and what is stopping you from getting there, and actually create that game plan for you in one conversation. So, feel free to message me. I'm not going to ask you for any money just to have that conversation together. Either way, you'll come out with a lot more clarity about the next steps for you. And if you're the kind of person who's ready to make the next move, make a big change in your career. So feel free to message me if you guys are struggling with anything like that. And otherwise, let me know below, what is your career dilemma? What is it that you are you struggling with this kind of stability versus risk? Would love to know from you guys. Okay, talk to you next time and speak soon.